Hello class, just wanted to give you a few websites to check out for the second week of class. First thing is I wanted to remind you again about your free access to lynda.com if you have a Lexington Public Library card. If you don't have one, you can get one if you're anywhere in Kentucky. If you're out of state, you might check with the library in the largest city in your state or even your local library, because thousands of them do have access. But on Lexington Public Library site, you can go to Collections and click on Databases, and then you can see lynda.com, and then you just log in with your library card number and your PIN number when you set that up. And then this is going to give you access to everything that someone who paid for the site would have access to. You get the exercise files, everything is normally like $40 a month. So I mentioned this in another video, but I wanted to point it out again. So this is more if you have extra time. I know not if you're like me, you probably don't have a lot of extra time to learn more. But if you find yourself with time and you want to work ahead and you want to learn more in either web design, graphic design, video editing and production, video game design, all of those areas, you can find these tracks or these learning paths. They call them learning paths, and you can find plenty of courses. So, here's a Become a Web Designer 11 courses, and this is, I may assign some of these. Like here's an HTML essential training. This is very similar to the tutorials that I create for you. Also similar to the W3 Schools stuff. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. There's a CSS essential training. So we'll do all of this stuff, but I'm not going to necessarily assign it because that's kind of overboard in my opinion if I'm going to give you all the tutorials and the W3 Schools site. But if you find that you want to work ahead or you want to explore some related areas, then you can go to this site. Just a couple things here I want to point out, different topics and things each week. So one thing you might want to check out is user experience design. So here's a couple different websites that I posted here for you. But, what does a user experience designer actually do? So you could read through that one. And again, this is all related, to web and graphic design and everything. And these are just different jobs where you can sort of specialize, because you can certainly look for, a web developer, a graphic designer. But then if you add in these different skills, that I'll kind of share with you throughout the semester, then I think you make yourself more valuable, more marketable, and you can start to stand out a little bit from the crowd that way. So that's something that I wanted to point out here. So this week you could check out the articles on user experience design. So here's one right here, and then here's another one. What is user experience design, and everything you need to know to get started. So there are jobs specifically in that, because so much of what we do, or what you do with your phone and websites and everything, it depends on the actual design, the interface, the experience, the overall experience, the usability of the product. So it kind of pulls everything together. So you could check those out. And then a couple other websites that I would recommend that you look at, and you may already be looking at these, but I always look at these just to sort of keep up to date on what skills employers are looking for. So I use Indeed.com. And, I'm just using graphic designer as a keyword, Lexington, but I'm searching within 100 miles. You can also do like remote work in the site as well. Here's one. That one is a little bit old. You can change, search by relevance here. But I would recommend you expand your search, to Cincinnati and Louisville to get a better idea of what companies are offering. And also kind of get an idea for salaries. And then look at their skills, just see what these different companies are offering. So explore that on your own if you haven't already done that, because that can sometimes help guide your skill set and your resume, things like that. So that's Indeed. And then the other one is flexjobs.com, and this is pretty much all like remote work or partial remote. And there's tons of them for graphic design, all over. You can check those out as well. So that'll give you, I know you're not necessarily applying for a job right now, but I like to look at these just for the skill sets and to see what they're offering. For example, strong understanding of HTML, web design, Adobe Creative programs, things like that. So So check those out. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was I posted an article on how much should you get paid to build websites. It's from last year, but it's still pretty much up to date. But it's kind of interesting to read through because I always get that question and I don't always know how to answer it. I mean, I do have experience building websites freelance. That's kind of how I started. It was a long time ago, back in 1999 when I started freelance web design, and I did local companies like catering companies and bridal shops, and things like that. Just anybody I could find, and I started out charging in like the $500 range for a typical static website, meaning that there's not much programming, there's no backend, like no database or anything, just straight HTML pages like we're doing in this class. And then, as I got some more experience, then I could charge more like in the $1,500 to $2,000 range for a website. So and this talks about, hourly rates or by the project, things like that. So I was charged by the project. There's still that type of work out there. It's changed. It's changed quite a bit over the years because a lot of people try to do it themselves. So you may encounter people who have tried to do it themselves and they need help, like with a WordPress site. That's something I've noticed quite a bit. Or maybe they've used like Wix or something, but they need more of a custom website. Or maybe they don't have a website and you're designing one from scratch. So there's still that type of work out there, but there's not as much of it, I guess, in my experience. And also, it's all different types of work. It may be more graphic design or video editing. There's plenty of freelance video editing and shooting work out there. And then there's still web design. So anyway, I thought you might find that article interesting. As far as this is more on the freelance side. I think full-time pay is just kind of all over the place depending on your experience. But so check those out when you get a chance, and that's going to be it for this week's lecture video.